The reality is this: the success of your product or service, of your dream, of your mission, of the business that you're trying to build will come down to 10% the quality and effectiveness of your product or service, and 90% the quality and effectiveness of your marketing. The best product doesn't win. Welcome to another Fireside Chat with Darren Hardy. This Fireside Chat will be immensely valuable to you if you stick with me here. This will be a no-holds-barred, hard-earned advice on sales and marketing, how to do it profitably, and how to avoid the crazy, dumb mistakes people make that cause them failure. Recently, I was hired to do an all-day workshop for 500 government and business leaders of a small country in the Caribbean. Beautiful place and absolutely beautiful people. I was greeted at the airport by the chairman of the largest financial organization in the country. And as we drove to the conference facility together, I was asking lots of questions, as I always do. I had done a lot of research and learned some incredible things about their country and its rich history. But I confessed that I, nor anybody that I knew, had ever even heard of their country before this invitation was served to me. From the window, as we drove, I could see that it was a stunningly beautiful place, bright blue skies, glistening off the ocean that surrounded it with miles of beautiful beaches. And it had a warm, soothing weather, even though it was the dead of winter. I asked my companion why they thought, at least most people in the United States, only a 2-hour flight away, were not even familiar with their little paradise. The chairman of that financial institution also happened to be on the tourism board as well, and said that has been their biggest challenge. It's a secret that they haven't been able to get out. But they enthusiastically reported they finally approved and allocated a $40 million marketing budget just last year to do branding in the United States. And what have you done? I asked. That's when they got especially animated, explaining the big electronic billboard ad that they ran in Times Square. And they designed a vehicle with palm trees and sand in it, playing local island music and passing out pina coladas to passerbyers on the streets of New York City. I asked, what did that cost? Oh, a flipping fortune. It was really, really expensive, they said. You wouldn't believe how expensive, in fact. I then asked, well, did it work? Were you able to quantify a return on that investment? We don't know, was the answer. But quickly continue with, but can you imagine in the snowy conditions of New York City, a vehicle with palm trees and sand and it drives up handing out pina coladas? Doesn't that make you want to know where that place is and want to visit it? They said with pride. Was all I could muster. This kind of story hurts my marketing heart with an absolute abysmal waste of precious resources. That $40 million would be flushed down the crapper and the country will be no more well-known or traveled for it. It's a crying shame. And no offense to them, because 97% of all marketing dollars are wasted, as in do not produce a return on investment. Most people just don't have a clue. That includes professional marketing and advertising agencies, by the way. I know because I have dealt with them for 25 plus years. Let me give it to you straight here from someone who knows, as I led 3 television networks and a print publication that sold institutional brand advertising. I can tell you firsthand, it doesn't work. I'm not saying it doesn't work at all. I'm just saying that it doesn't work financially, as in if you do it, you will lose money. The reality is this: unless you have several $100 million to permanently tattoo your gecko or your redheaded clown or Clydesdales and that jingle that you've got on the brain of the masses, you're just wasting money. Peeing in the ocean, so to speak. So what do you do instead, you ask? Direct response. In today's day and age, you can target directly, exactly who your ideal buyer is for not that much money and measure an exact return on that investment. Now, admittedly, most screw this up too. So let me give you some really valuable advice here from someone who spent more than $5 million on direct response advertising just last year for no less than a 3 times ROI. And that was on only one of the several channels that we spent that kind of money on. Yes, you heard me right. For every dollar inserted, $3 came out. But you can only do that with really smart targeting. You first have to identify what is your best buyer profile. Not the profile of all potential buyers, specifically and narrowly your best buyer. That means, what is the demographic and the psychographic factors of those who have the greatest need now, who have the most money to spend, are the easiest to reach, are the quickest to decide, are the easiest and least expensive to service, and will stay with you the longest, spend the most overtime, refer you the most, and are the most enjoyable to work with. There is a profile of those type of people by demographic and psychographic. You want to map that out. There are step-by-step instructions on how to do that inside the eFastPass training curriculum, as well as then when you find them, how do you craft your message to them to persuade them to buy? You just don't randomly throw up your billboard in the midst of the noisiest square in the world and expect to have anybody care or take any action on it. Now, not all best buyers are buyers all the time. This is a big point. Even if you are, let's say, the right profile for a particular car brand, there are only small windows when you're looking to buy a car. Marketing and advertising to you, even though you are the best buyer candidate profile, when it's the wrong time, is an absolute waste of money. You have to identify when your best buyer is feeling those good buying vibrations. And it is in the market to buy. There's an action or behavior that will be their tell. And that is when you want to spend your direct response dollars showing them your solution. Timing is critical. Remember that no matter how qualified or target perfect someone is, even they are selectively and infrequently in that buying mode. You have to find your tell and only spend your dollars when the tell is telling you it's time. Now, we've covered who and when. Next is where. Where are your best buyers and how do you find and target them? When we had Michael Dell on the cover of Success, he told the story about how he sold newspapers while in high school. He sold 10 times the subscriptions in half the time of all his competitive peers and made more money annually than his teachers. His approach, instead of just going door to door asking people if they wanted to subscribe to the newspaper like all his peers and competitors did, the equivalent of driving a palm tree and sand-filled vehicle in the winter asking random people if they wanted to visit a foreign country for vacation, he figured out who has the greatest need for a newspaper subscription and when. The answer was when somebody buys a new house or gets newly married. So instead of going door to door at random, he pulled the county records that listed new marriage licenses issued and property title transfers. That is where he sent offers to subscribe to the newspaper. And lo and behold, those people subscribed at a rate more than 100 to 1 more often than just going door to door soliciting cold. And of course, that was a heck of a lot easier than going door to door or driving around in a sand-filled vehicle in the winter. So that is what you want to figure out. Who, when, and where can you find your best buyers? Where do they collect? Where do they associate? What do they read? Where do they go? Where is their information based on their interest and lifestyle already aggregated? Then it is what? What is the offer they can't refuse? An offer so valuable, so irresistible that they can't refuse it. That turning it down would cost them. They'd be financially and morally imprudent to not take you up on your offer to help them. And then lastly is how. How do you get them to respond? This is what is called the call to action. How do they step forward and engage with you? Make it simple, make it friction-free, make it easy. Oh, and a major bonus ninja tip here. One that is worth the cost of admission into this free fireside chat. And this will sound obvious when you hear it, but it will likely be one of those, oh, I wish I had a V8 moments. You remember that? A way of really narrowing down your target and increasing your conversion likelihood dramatically is to take your best buyer profile, everything that I've already covered with you, then within that target profile, target those who have already bought something similar. You see, most people do the opposite of this. They target people who don't have the thing that they have to sell, which seems to make sense, but it doesn't. Here's a quirk of the human condition that you can leverage. People stick to their comfort zones. We stick to what we know, what we like, and already feel safe with. This is the reason why we buy the same things over and over again. People who buy little black dresses continue to buy. little black dresses. Someone who already has 10 pairs of ballet flats is significantly more likely to buy a new pair of ballet flats than someone who doesn't have any. The person who already owns an expensive car is the most likely person to purchase a new expensive car. You see, in my world, you'd think that someone who's already invested in productivity training, let's say, would be the least likely buyer. But that's actually the opposite, in fact. Someone who's already proven that they invest in productivity training is, in fact, the most likely buyer to buy more of it. I hope that you're seeing how big of a tip this is here. Going back to that beautiful unknown country, if I were devising a direct marketing campaign for them, I'd first map out the best buyer profile, as I've already explained. Then, within that profile, I'd specifically target people who have already traveled from the United States to foreign countries and islands near theirs, with amenities and experiences just like they offer. Those travelers are at least 30 times more likely candidates than people who have never traveled to such a place for a vacation. I'd target them where they are and when they show me they are getting those vacation vibes. The combination of all these variables allows you to take what would have been a grossly wasteful mass market yelling into the wind, spitting into the ocean approach with no quantifiable results, and instead target only the right and perfect people at the right and perfect time, in the right and perfect place, with the right and perfect offer for them, and then craft the right and perfect call to action for them. That is how you spend $1 or 5 million of them and get a 3 times ROI on it, rather than spending 40 million to make a few pennies, maybe. I know I've given you a lot to take in. As I mentioned, there are step-by-step instructions on how to do all of this that I've explained to you inside the eFastPass program. All I can tell you is, through experience, when you get really clear on the who, the when, the where, the what, and the how of your best buyers, and you know how to craft the right message with the right offer, then you have the secret formula for growing a thriving business. Very few people do this right. Just some minor tweaks to your knowledge here can help you just print money and actually make the impact that you seek with the product or service that you're trying to get out into the world. Let me leave you with this last critical insight. The success of your product or service, of your dream, of your mission, of the business that you're trying to build will come down to 10% the quality and effectiveness of your product or service, and 90% the quality and effectiveness of your marketing. The best product doesn't win. I wish that weren't the facts, but it is. Just look around you. The number one product in any category is likely not the best product. That's true for beer, insurance, cars, wine, restaurants, bottled water, clothing, CPA firms, real estate agents, lawyers, furniture manufacturers, refrigerators, or fishing tackle. The companies that become successful are the ones who learn how to market and sell better. Period. The end. Some of the best products, revolutionary services. I'm talking about things that would solve major problems for you, be life-changing to your family, you've never heard of. Why? Because the owner, the founder, the inventor didn't know how to market and sell, thus they failed. And not only did he or she lose out, you and I also lost out too. The reason why no one knows about this foreign country that I've been telling you about is not because it isn't beautiful. It is. It's not because their accommodations aren't as good as other places. They are, and better. It is not because they are farther or are harder to get to or don't have as good of food or are as safe. They are better in every one of those categories. Their tourism department is failing because they suck at marketing. Period. The end. And as you heard, it is not for a lack of interest or focus or even financial investment. They are applying lots of time, energy, effort, and lots of money to the problem, just erroneously. Don't make that mistake with your business. You have a duty, a financial and fiduciary responsibility to bring your great product or service to the market and to make it successful so that we all can benefit from it. You cannot just be a great inventor, a great innovator, a great solution provider. You have to also become a great marketer. And I can help you if you allow me. Get the Fast Pass training program if you haven't already, and I'll guide you through the details on how inside. If you want to build a successful business, one that not only survives and makes it, but actually thrives and is outrageously profitable, then write this down. The person who knows how to get, keep, and cultivate a customer gets paid the most. Period. Invest in learning this skill, and then together we cannot fail.